To the men who love us, let me just try to paint a picture of what it will feel like if America, the wealthiest nation on earth, keeps revoking basic care from its women, and how it will affect every single woman in your life. Your girlfriend could be the one in legal jeopardy if she needs a pill from out of state or overseas, or if she has to travel across state lines because the local clinic closed up. Your wife or mother could be the ones at higher risk of dying from undiagnosed cervical cancer because they have no access to regular gynecological care. Your daughter could be the one too terrified to call the doctor if she's bleeding during an unexpected pregnancy. Your niece could be the one miscarrying in her bathtub after the hospital turned her away. So I am asking y'all from the core of my being to take our lives seriously. Please, do not put our lives in the hands of politicians, mostly men, who have no clue or do not care about what we as women are going through.
That was former First Lady Michelle Obama speaking in Kalamazoo, Michigan over the weekend, spelling out what's at stake in this election, including what is happening to women right now because of Donald Trump. Women like Deborah Dorbert of Florida, who had to carry out a hopeless, high-risk pregnancy to term, all because she was living under restrictive abortion bans as a result of Donald Trump.
I found out I was pregnant. I went and had my anatomy ultrasound done. The doctor diagnosed the baby with Potter syndrome. And with Potter syndrome, babies only live a few minutes to a few hours. I could not get preterm induced due to the law, and I'm having to carry him to full term. I remember my OB handing me a baby boy that was blue and cold, gasping for air for 94 minutes. And I just held him.
Deborah and many others are coming forward with their stories because this election is a matter of life or death. It already was a matter of life or death for Caitlin Joshua and many others. Caitlin was 11 weeks pregnant when she felt cramping and started bleeding, signs of a miscarriage. She was bleeding so much her husband feared for her life, but at her darkest moment, Caitlin was turned away from not one, but 2 emergency rooms. At the first ER, she says the staff told her they would pray for her. The reason? Doctors use the same drug to treat miscarriages as they do abortion, leaving some to fear they could face criminal charges under the state's strict abortion laws. And let's not forget about Amanda Zarowski of Texas, who almost died after being denied an abortion at 18 weeks, even though her pregnancy was no longer viable after her condition deteriorated. Doctors eventually performed an emergency abortion. However, Amanda developed sepsis and spent 3 days in the ICU fighting for her life. She survived, but is now unable to have children ever again. Deborah, Caitlin, and Amanda join me now at this important crossroads with just days before the election to tell their stories and talk about what's at stake. Also with us, Cecile Richards, former president of Planned Parenthood and an activist, and Cindy Levy, CEO of The Meteor, a publication that has been chronicling all the stories of women affected by the overturning of Roe, and there are many. Deborah, I want you to try and speak to some of the details, and I know these are going to be hard conversations, but we're all trying to get a message across about the dangers at stake here. Can you tell me about the 3 months where you had to carry the baby Milo to term, but you knew the baby had Potter syndrome? Can you tell me specifically what it was like for your body and mind to go through this?
I fell into deep depression. and was starting to have suicidal indication. I endured physical pain that was worse than labor itself. And I fell into a deep, dark place, both physically and mentally, trying to understand, like, prepare myself for delivery, because I met life and death all in the same day.
And then beyond your own body and mind and the hell that you were going through, your family and your community. You're carrying this baby and people are asking you when you're due. Your husband and little Caden. Can you describe what they went through?
I mean, for Caden, now I'm trying to get comfortable with the uncomfortable and allowing that space for him to share his grief. He is asking questions. What is an angel? Where did his brother go? What is heaven? Does he have toys? And questions I'm telling him, I don't know. What do you think? Because he lost his brother, and that's all he knows. He hasn't grieved about what happened to us. And
your warning for women at this time?
That I am speaking up to share my son's legacy in hopes to bring change so no one else has to go through what I went through. It is a hard journey to be on, to have met life and death in the same day, all due to politicians and government interfering with my healthcare decision-making.
Caitlin, you're a Christian. One of your values are obviously based on prayer and a lot of other things. But I say that because when you went to the ER for help, you were bleeding out and you were offered prayers. What were you thinking at that moment when what you needed was the health care that is available to you?
Yes, and as you alluded to, I am a Christian woman, a woman of faith, and in that moment, I did not want or need prayers. I needed access to abortion care. Mm-hmm. And while I understand, any woman or physician that may have been offering up prayers, women's lives are at stake in this moment. They were in 2022 when I was experiencing my miscarriage. And the last thing that I needed in that moment was someone offering up their thoughts and prayers. And that is why I'm so committed to helping people understand you do not have to desert your faith in order to understand that women need the fundamental rights of the ability to have access to abortion care in all 50 states. And it's something that no one should have to navigate in a healthcare crisis as a result of someone just offering prayers.
These conversations are extremely difficult, but I have to ask you a question. I don't even know how to ask you this, but I think it's important. Was the issue whether you were bleeding enough? And how much were you bleeding?
I was certainly going through quite a few pads. I know that's the best way to measure it, or the best way that physicians often ask you when you're miscarrying or experiencing any type of blood loss during a pregnancy. They'll say, how many pads have you gone through? And I think within the first hour of being at that first physician's office, I'd gone through at least 5 or 6. And so I don't think for my situation it was a matter of how much I was bleeding. I think it was still physicians trying to interpret the law within my state of Louisiana, understanding this new abortion ban that just came down after the Dobbs decision, and no one was comfortable in treating me. And I think that's why I kept coming up against, actually I know it's why I kept coming up against the ability to access the healthcare, and instead having physicians trying to completely avert the situation in the conversation, or even confirming whether or not I was miscarrying.
So they're talking about whether they're allowed to do what they needed to be doing for you in that moment, give you the care that you needed.
Yeah.
Amanda, you've shared your story. You are trying to share it as much as you can. I can't think of the words. I mean, to be going through what you went through, to finally get the health care you needed. But because it was so far down the line, you ended up having more consequences to these bans. Can you tell us about that and what you're thinking, hearing Deborah and Caitlin speak out right now?
Well, first, I just want to say to Deborah and Caitlin how much I admire them and how proud of them I am for their bravery, because you're right, these conversations are not easy. They don't get easier. They will never get easier. We have suffered enormous amounts of grief, trauma, loss. Those things stay with you forever. There are folks across the country telling their stories, and I'm proud of every single one of them. We're doing it because we have to. We have to protect people. We have to stop this suffering that's going on in our country. You mentioned the repercussions for me and the now lifelong consequences that I face, which is the permanent compromising of my reproductive organs and the inability to carry a child again. And so when folks tell me that they are pro-life, I don't know how you can listen to my story, to Caitlin's story, to Deborah's story, and say that there's anything pro-life in any of that.
And to those who say, well, this is not going to happen to my daughter. I mean, these are very unique situations that they're highlighting that are not necessarily mainstream. You say what to that?
These are people that are not paying attention because these stories are everywhere. The three of us represent hundreds, if not thousands, of people who have had very similar experiences. And all you have to do is a tiny bit of research, and you're going to find so many stories because this is a real crisis in our country. And every day that we allow it to continue, more and more people are suffering.
Obviously, abortion health care is not for people with reproductive emergencies. It can be women who have other types of medical emergencies now, and it's not available to them in certain states because of these bans. Cecile, you were head of Planned Parenthood for 12 years. You've been fighting for women's rights as long as you've had a voice. Mom was Ann Richards. And yet right now, since we're all having hard conversations, you're dealing with brain cancer.
Right.
And yet you're still on the front lines. Why?
Proud to be. It's so important because I know we're in the middle of an election, but these problems are not going away, win, lose, or draw. And the stories that these women have told, we have dozens, if not hundreds more. And these are not political stories. These are stories of women and families and daughters and granddaughters. The risk and the struggle to get health care in like almost half the states in America. And that's a long-term fight.
The long-term fight that, just to look at the stakes, the day that you got your brain cancer diagnosis, you also had a grandchild.
Yes.
And that's the next generation. And what does it look like right now on the eve of the election? We're days out. Is the future bright, or is it dark for women's health care and for our lives and for situations like this?
It's going to be a long fight. And I knew this a couple of years ago, even before the Dobbs decision, when I talked to doctors, oncologists, who told me I can't treat my patients in Texas because of these laws that have nothing to do with health care, have nothing to do with science. And they were telling doctors, like, you can't treat your patients. And that's what we have to change. Get politicians out of the doctor's office.
It's for our daughters.
Right, exactly.
This is the future for our daughters, too. Cindy, thank you also for coming. And you have been fighting as well on the front lines of women's health care. And you've also been a major part of compiling all of these stories for the media. What are you finding? Because I have looked through a lot of the reports that you're bringing to the forefront, and they're gut-wrenching, and they involve women who are suffering, who are being tortured because they don't have access to health care, but also men who love them, deeply traumatized.
I think one thing that we hear, and I'll say you also notice it in the incredible new oral history project that Cecile and Caitlin are putting together, Abortion in America. This is not just a quote unquote women's issue, which is how we've always thought of abortion. Right. Obviously, it affects women intimately, but we have a news story involving a young couple in Alabama. She was diagnosed with a partial molar pregnancy, which is an incredibly serious and dangerous diagnosis. Her fetus also had triploidy, which is a usually fatal chromosomal abnormality, and she was not offered care. And her husband in the video is so, just devastated at the lack of regard given to his wife. I mean, that he could have lost his wife because she couldn't get simple health care. He didn't understand, and no one should understand, why is this treated like a political issue? And so I think, it's really important for men to speak up about this because it will affect them. It's not just, they should stand up for our rights. This affects their families, affects their, their mothers, their children, their partners. And, I think that's something that we've really seen as an increasing theme in the stories that we've done.
Can you speak directly to young people? Because I do think a lot of this election is really about the future, and if America has one. Not exaggerating, not hyperbole. But to young people who might, not want to wait in a line or might sit this election out because they're just so overwhelmed by all of it.
I think young people are pretty energized right now, so I'm actually drawing some of my enthusiasm from what I'm seeing in, among young people. But, I think for someone who might not remember a presidency before Trump, it's very understandable that there can be, a real sense of cynicism. And I think we have to say that, this is not necessarily about being inspired by politicians. This is about being inspired by our own power as voters and our own ability to remake the future so that it is fairer and freer for everybody.
I want to close on the three of you, sort of 1, 2, 3. Deborah, Caitlin, and Amanda. The three of you went through unspeakable traumas. And you could curl up, close in, run away from reality, and nobody would blame you. So who are you fighting for today, and why are you here, and why are you speaking out? Deborah.
I'm speaking out to share my son's legacy, to help bring a change so no one has to go through what I went through. It is a hard journey, and that is why I'm speaking out, because we deserve health care rights.
Caitlin.
I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention in the same states where there are egregious laws or abortion bans, or the same states that have pretty alarming maternal health statistics, including around Black maternal health. And for me, as a woman of color, as a Black woman, I have to say that I am speaking out for all the women of color that look like me, that don't necessarily, want to be, on the front lines and share their story, and why should they have to? And that's why I'm here, to make sure that I'm amplifying their voices and helping people connect the dots. Understand that this too could be you in all 50 states if we don't do what we need to do on November 5th.
Amanda?
I'm speaking out for every single person in this country. Whether you agree with what I'm doing or not, I would not wish what I went through on my worst enemy. And for those folks who think that this might be niche, you're not going to care when it's your mother, your sister, your wife, your aunt. And for everyone in this country, we need to stop the suffering that's going on.
Deborah Dorbert, Caitlin Joshua, Amanda Zarowski, Cecile Richards, Cindy Levy. Thank you very much for coming together at this critical time. Thank you.